everyone, it's Elaine. Thank you for joining me back on my channel. I'm going to share a card today that I made last week. I had a card to make and I just thought I'd film it. So I'm inking up the Greeting Farm Little Fairies stamps, and I've treated it with some Embossing Buddy, stamped my images in Versafine Onyx black ink, coated it with clear embossing powder, and now I'm heat setting that because I'm going to be using my Zig Clean Colour Real Brush markers. So if you've seen a card a few weeks ago, you'll know I like this glitter paper, and I use my MFT Blueprints 27 to cut a bunch of those out. So I've just grabbed one of those off my desk, covered the back with some double-sided tape and covering that up with a piece of acetate because I'm going to be making a shaker card. And I don't really use my zigs, well, I haven't had a chance to use them really, but I'm now just going through looking for some paper to go in the background. But I am going to be colouring one of the fairies with my zigs, but as I say, I'm really new to it, so this is a bit of a learning curve for me. But I think I'm going to go with this watercolour paper in purple, and I've cut the scallop frame out again from the Blueprints 27 die set. And I'm just going to glue that down onto a card base with my ATG. Just sort of thinking on my feet. I didn't plan on filming this video, but I thought while I had all my stuff out, I'd film it. Especially as it's, a bit different from my usual Copics. So I'm I'm covering the back with just one layer of foam tape all over those sort of different grid pieces, because I'm going to be using different sequins in different holes. So this is the mermaid's tail from Chunky Monkey Crafts, and there's nice because there's like kind of little tiny jewel pieces in there which really catch the light. They're really pretty. So I'm going to be putting my mermaid's tail in those top 3 wells, the smaller wells. I'll have links in the description box to where you can buy these. But they're just a really nice purpley, iridescent, or just a mixture of sequins. So they're going in those top wells. And then in the bottom wells, I think I did forget to put some Embossing Buddy around those top ones. But I'm just putting some clear sequins, 4mm ones, and then just some iridescent stars that I've got in my stash, which again I got in a garden centre. I do seem to get a lot of my things from the garden centre, I think around Christmas time when they got all the nice sparkly bits out. And I'm going in with some Nuvo glitter. Again, I'll put that in the description box. I think it's some sort of pink hexagons. And then I'm just going over with another piece of acetate because I just want kind of a pouch really. I like to be able to line up my shaker panel accurately, and I find that really hard when they're just sort of loose and you've just got to put the card base on top and hope for the best. So I've just put some glue all over, I think it was Tombow glue, all over the back of that, just sort of behind that foam tape, and then I can position that panel on top of my card and get it as accurate as I can. Just pushing that down, and there we go, shaking around happily. I was quite pleased with how those colours all went together. You can't really tell that grid piece is sparkly, but it is. Now these are all new to me. I've only had them a couple of months and I haven't really played around with them much, but the way I like to use my zigs is to scribble a little bit of the zig marker onto whatever piece of laminated paper, or I'm using an acetate block. I'm using an acrylic block, and then I pick that up with my water brush and then put it down, and I just keep going off to the side, tapping off my brush when I get too much water or I want to fade out the colour, because they are quite pigmented and I just wanted a bit of a softer look for these fairies, and I just find I can achieve that if I don't put the marker directly onto the paper. Unless I obviously want to go in later and add a bit more colour. So we'll list all of the colours I've used down below. I've got the 48 set, which I'm really happy with. You know, that's my first set. I mean, I may go ahead and purchase some individual colours, but for the moment I'm just happy sort of playing with these. And I do use my glitter pen to blend them out sometimes, or I just go over it at the end. But I'm happy with how they're working out. I need some more practice, but I found the hair quite hard, purely because I just find hair hard in general. But I think it looked okay in the end. So I just did want to say thank you for everyone who's subscribed to my channel this week. My mermaid card that I posted on Instagram generated quite a lot of new followers. So hello to anyone who's started following me this week and, you know, beforehand. But I'd like to get your feedback. Happy, leave me a comment. And if there's any questions, happy to try and answer them. I'm really new to a lot of these techniques, so you're kind of learning along with me. I just kind of turn on my camera and sometimes just hope for the best. And sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. These images are really sweet because they're quite quick to colour up, especially with these zig markers. That's what I like about them. They are quite speedy. So if you just want to quickly do a card, I think these are a really good go-to. I'm just colouring another one's hair, just as I often like watching people colour hair, because I find it quite difficult. So I'm always trying to learn new techniques and seeing how other people colour hair. And I think I was out of the frame for a little bit of the other fairy. And I think her hair turned out a little bit better than the last fairy. But again, it's all because of practice, and your technique improves as you're going along, and you learn what pressure to use and how hard to flick the flicks. But that's what I like about these. I've got a really fine tip, so you do get some really good flicks for the hair, which is how I like to colour hair. I can't remember which fairies I use on my card, but I have coloured up some other little images off camera, which I do end up using. So I had quite a few on my desk, and I'm just playing around with how I'm going to position them on the card. And I use some Mama Elephant Inline Letters dies to write the name of who this card is going to, and then I just kind of use my ruler to line everything up as best I can. And then, I see a lot of videos where they use press and seal, but I'm in the UK and I haven't got that, so I'm just using a piece of post-it tape, and I'm going to just put a little bit of glue on the back of those letters. So I'm going to be gluing that onto that bottom shaker panel. And I think here I decide I want to have the little sitting fairy on the toadstool. So I'm just sort of putting her on just to kind of work out where I need to put the letters. I'm using my craft knife just to kind of get them peeled off the back of that post-it tape. And then I'm putting down the number because she was 6. And I think she's adorable sitting on her toadstool. Well, she will be. So I think I just go for the 2 fairies because of the, putting the name on and the number. I just didn't want to overload it too much. So I'm just using my Nuvo glue to stick those all down. And then I'm putting some Glossy Accents all over their wings to make them look nice and shiny. And I think as well I did put some Nuvo Glitter Pen over those wings, so they're glittery and glossy. And there is my card. Oh no, I think I finish off the inside as well. So I do go ahead and use one of the sentiments from the stamp set to stamp on the inside. So I stamp a sentiment. I think it was "Have a very nice day." And then I do stamp a fairy as well. And there we go, all finished. So thanks for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please drop me a comment below. And I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye!